Welcome to the Be Better podcast with Lee Barrison, true stories from Bakersfield's business owners and entrepreneurs. And in this inaugural episode, we're going to discover the true story behind Lee's success. He's a local real estate broker in Bakersfield, California that sold over 1,700 houses in almost 18 years. He's a husband, father, and I get to call him my best friend. And who am I? I get the privilege of introducing you to Lee's true story. My name is Reverend Christian Jansen. I'm the host of the Most High Show and the creative director at Most High Media. This is your show. I'm just starting it off.
Yeah.
To let people get to know you.
Well, it's a privilege to have you give me the intro to our new show.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about this here, and I think that I think it might be best for me to start it off with my own story.
Set the tone.
Set the tone, right? Correct. Yeah.
All right. So we know where you're at right now. So just tell us where you are right now. You've sold 1,700 houses in almost 18 years. Tell me a little bit about where your company is and what you're on track to do right now.
Yeah, so been a broker now and running my own real estate office, Infinity Real Estate Services, locally here in Bakersfield for about a year and 7 months. Got into coaching agents, got into the training side of things, and really, I really found a lot of interest in that, Christian. You know what I mean? And so finally, once we started the real estate brokerage, just training took over in my life. And that's really where it all began. And so, I was an independent agent just selling houses, up until about a year and 7 months ago. But then we started Infinity Real Estate Services, and we're here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you haven't always been here.
Haven't always been here? Nope.
No,
that's right.
So let's talk about early on in your life. Living in Bakersfield.
How long have we known each other for?
How old are we, right? That's how long we've known each other. Yeah.
I think it's second grade is when we met.
Yeah. That's a while.
Yeah. So, it's been a while, and, I guess, you've seen me grow up.
Yeah. So there was a time in your life when, like a lot of us in the 90s, we got involved in graffiti.
Hip hop.
And the lifestyle that comes around that, which includes...
And the neighborhood that we grew up in.
And the neighborhood growing up on the east side of Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Which includes drug lifestyle, kind of a gang lifestyle. And so what I want you to do is tell me about a specific moment in your early on in that life, right? Where you knew, okay, I'm in deep at this point.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I think it all started around when I was about 14. I think you were doing a different thing at the time. You're DJing. You had your rap thing going on or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I had my tagging thing going on, you know what I mean? And it all started when I was about 14. A good friend of mine, Lorenzo, got me involved in, a neighborhood friend got me involved in graffiti art. And before you know it, I'm out there, tagging walls, and running the streets, basically, is the best way to put it, And like you mentioned, along with that lifestyle comes a lot of different drugs and other small crimes, I guess, if you will, you know. Yeah. And so, got involved in smoking a lot of weed, and then progressed to selling methamphetamines and doing methamphetamines and getting heavily involved in that side of
and this
the
is
coin.
all through high school.
Correct. Yeah. So I think from 14 on, I was addicted, and doing whatever I had to do
Right.
to get by, and then by the time 16 rolls around, I basically dropped out of high school. Because I had more important things to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Right. Now that lifestyle leads to a couple places, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jails, institution,
correct,
or death.
Yeah, got arrested in my as a
minor.
Minor. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got arrested. I would say roughly about 12 times for graffiti art.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the times that I actually didn't get away. You know what I mean? So there was quite a few times when I was able to get away, I guess is the best way to put it. So,
so tell me about a moment, an evening, a time during this kind of run where, like, let's get into the granular stuff. Let's get to the specifics. Like,
okay.
What was a night like? Do you have a memory of a night where you're like, man, when this night passed, you knew you had crossed the threshold?
Yeah, I mean, there was a number of times, I think, but I think when my mom and dad
mm-hmm.
knew how deep I was,
mm-hmm.
that's when I started realizing, okay, it's getting out of control, because they both recognize it.
Okay.
But see, the thing is that when I turned 16, and I'm doing my thing,
mm-hmm.
my mom started doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
She was a good mom. She basically did everything she could for me as a child, but at some point in time, she found a friend that introduced her to methamphetamines as well. And so she basically would, I guess, disappear is the best way to put it,
mm-hmm.
For weeks or months at a time. And I don't know if you remember this, but I used to basically have a house to myself,
right?
Because my dad wouldn't put up with this stuff, so he moved back down to L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a divorce, and he had his own thing going on in L.A. And so Monday through Friday, I basically had my own place.
Yeah.
Because mom was gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? He would show up on the weekends, buy some groceries, pay the bills, and bounce.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I think the point in my life when I knew I was just entirely in too deep,
mm-hmm.
right, was some quote unquote friends of mine,
mm-hmm.
And I were just recopped at our dealer's house, and
mm-hmm.
we picked up 28 grams of methamphetamines, basically the size of a softball,
mm-hmm.
and we were one of my friends had to pay a cell phone bill at a local cell phone company here in
mm-hmm.
Bakersfield, and so it was busy. There was a lot of people at the cell phone place at the time, and we happened to be standing outside waiting for my friend, and a UPS driver thought we were going to rob him, and so he decided to call the police on us. And as we were waiting, we thought, well, let's just go wait in the car, because this is taking too long. So we sat in the car, and lo and behold, BPD shows up, pulls up behind us,
mm-hmm.
throws us in separate vehicles, and within a matter of minutes, comes to the window and says, "Do you know anything about this?"
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I took the rap on having that possession, and I think that was the point in my.
And you took the rap because it was under your seat.
Correct. Yeah, I was sitting in the seat that they found it,
mm-hmm.
and so therefore, that was it. And then from that point forward.
Now you have a case.
Now I got a case. Yeah.
But this is serious now. This is not a
This is
misdemeanor.
correct.
This was before they made the tagging, or right about the time they made graffiti a felony.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is right. So this, you were catching misdemeanors up to that point.
Right.
This is like
This is a major felony.
This is a major crime.
Yeah, they're talking about 16 2 to 3, and so but here's a story I want to tell you. This is the pivotal time in my life. Okay. Is my wife, Lucy, right?
Mm-hmm.
She and I have been together since, I was 13.
Yeah.
And I love her. I loved her. You
Yeah.
know, we were high school sweethearts, the best way
Yeah.
to put it, And I remember sitting in pretrial,
Mm-hmm.
and I called her. And she basically picked up the phone, and she says, hey, my friends and I went out last night, and we were talking about you. Here I am, Mr. Cool, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in pretrial, waiting to go to trial. Yeah, so what were you talking about? She says, well, we were talking about you and about how, you dropped out of high school. I just graduated. I own a car. You don't. I have a driver's license. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a job. You've never had one. You've been arrested way too many times. I'm perfectly clear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in college.
Mm-hmm. And you're in jail.
And you're in jail, and I'm kind of wondering what the hell I'm doing with you, so don't ever call me again. And hung up.
Boom.
Boom.
Heart drops to your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very pivotal point in my life right there. That was actually the moment in my life, Christian, where I finally realized I got to quit screwing around.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you talked a little bit about your mom's drug use,
Mm-hmm.
which ultimately led to her death.
Correct, yep.
So, just tell me a little bit. Tell me the story. I know that there was, you did everything you could up to a point where you felt like, okay, if I continue to help you, I'm going to enable you.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to kind of draw a line,
Correct, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So tell me the story of this relationship from that point when you had to draw that line and say, okay, I can't continue to support you, pay your groceries, pay your bills.
Yeah.
Because the more that I do that, that just creates the environment for you to use.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you had to make that's a really tough call to make.
Yeah, especially as an only child.
Right.
Not having any siblings that can maybe pull some weight
Mm-hmm.
for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like I mentioned, she was a great mom.
Yeah.
She never stole. She never did any violent crimes or anything like that. But she was just an addict.
Yeah.
That's what her problem was. So, just to fast forward a bit, but she was hooked on meth and then graduated to heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came home out of jail, basically everything in my room was gone.
Oh.
Everything. Except maybe a few set of clothes. And I'm like, Mom, what the hell happened?
Right.
She goes, I sold everything.
Wow.
Right? And also to boot, we were getting evicted. Not evicted, I'm sorry, the house is getting foreclosed on 2 weeks after I came home. And so, to fast forward though, to your point, right? So, yeah, I was an enabler with her, basically a lot of lonely nights on the couch because my wife is so pissed off at me because I'm paying her bills and paying her groceries and paying her cell phone and giving her gas money and so on and so forth. Where my wife is over it. She's like, let her be.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't do that because it's my mom. You know what I mean? And so finally, she decided that she wanted to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is after her getting involved in prostitution. This is after her, being arrested a few times. This is after her overdosing 3 different times on heroin. She just went through the ringer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And finally, she came to and just decided, enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I want to quit. And so basically, I literally. She wound up going to a methadone clinic, and I literally every single day would pick her up in the morning and drive her to the methadone clinic to get her fix. I guess the best way to put it.
Right.
And then she got off drugs. She got off heroin. And then she also got off methadone.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept telling her, look, Mom, once you get off methadone, you need to, go find a small group at church, or you need to go find some good people to surround yourself with, maybe some NA meetings. I don't know, do something.
Right.
Because once you're off methadone, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have problems,
Right.
And she never did. And then she, like you said, I mean, she
Eventually relapsed and.
relapsed and died. Yeah, within about a month after that. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about, you had dreams before.
Yeah.
And just tell me that story about.
Yeah, it's weird, but I shared that with you where about a month before she passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single night I would have the same dream, and the dream basically went like this, where, I'd be at work, I would pick up the phone, I would call her, no answer. I would get in the car, I would drive to her house, I would knock on the door, no answer. And she lived in an older home where they had those mailbox slips in the door.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember, flipping that up in the dream,
yeah.
and then she's laying right there,
Yeah.
right? And for about a good month before her passing, I would have that dream every single day. So the day that I found her, I was at work.
Yeah.
I called her, no answer. On my way to her house, I'm already thinking about the dream.
Yeah.
I get to the house, I got keys, no need to, look in the mail slip. I open the door, and sure enough, she's laying right where she was in my dream.
Wow.
Yeah. And I really do feel like that was kind of like God preparing me
to deal with this.
Saying, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Wow. and that's tough to go through.
Sure.
At the time, you're already in the real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 kids. You have a wife. So now you have to deal with the passing of your mom.
Yeah.
And try to push forward.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Which at the time, I literally just gave up.
Uh-huh.
For a good 6 months, I didn't give a shit what was going on in my life anymore.
Yeah.
I really didn't care. But then one day my wife turned to me.
Again.
Yeah. And corrected me. She says, hey, listen, you're still a husband and you're still a father, so you need to get up off the couch and get back to work, step back into character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, like you stepping back into character.
Mm-hmm. So
your journey to where you are now professionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aside from these personal obstacles that you faced, right? So tell me about your journey to become a real estate agent. That first year, what was that like?
First year was rough, man. I mean, first year in the business, didn't sell any houses for 6 months. Basically, was on the verge of quitting. And then my broker sent me to a sales seminar. Mm-hmm. And it was like the real estate gods showed up, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any money at the time. I was dead broke, living in the hood, in a garage conversion on the corner of South Brown and Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Right behind KMC, if anybody knows where that's at.
Yeah.
And so I was on the verge of quitting, went to this real estate seminar, didn't have a dime in my name, but I had a credit card that had a $1,000 limit on it. And the guy running the seminar asked me if I would like to sign up for coaching. I asked him how much it was. He said, it's $1,000. And I thought to myself, well, I'm dead broke. I don't have any money. Mm-hmm. Although I really wanted to sign up for coaching because I felt it would benefit me. So then I remember walking up to that desk, or the where they're selling coaching, mm-hmm. and I remember having that $1,000 credit, and I gave them my credit card. They ran it, and it went through. So if you thought I was broke before,
now
I'm freaking broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah. So, but yeah, and then the next 6 months of my first year, I wound up selling 28 homes.
Because of having that coaching.
I believe it's all about the coaching. 100%.
So that $1,000 paid itself back over and over.
Over and over and over. And now I've been in coaching for almost 17 years.
But now, before you even got to that 6 months of dead, not selling any homes, mm-hmm. it wasn't easy for you to even get into the business, right?
No, because of my felony. I mean, if that's what you're referring to.
Well, that and... Yeah. You didn't just take the test and breeze through and then keep it moving.
No, I failed the test 3 times and finally passed.
So what was that like? Like, you decided, I'm doing this. This is my career now. I'm going to go into real estate.
Yeah.
You took the test the first time. You get the notification.
Bombed. Yeah.
And you already know that you're going to have this hurdle to jump over with the felony.
Correct, yeah.
So tell me about that. What's your thinking about, Did you fail the second time?
Right.
You know what I mean? Tell me about that. What's that?
Well, the first time I took the test, I felt, I already know how to pass this test. I already got this.
Right.
I walked in there, didn't study.
Overconfident.
Just completely killed on the test, right?
Yeah.
Second time around, I actually smartened up and studied and still failed. And the third time, I studied a lot and also went to a crash course and then finally passed the test. But then the state issued me a letter saying that they're denying me of my license because of my felony.
Yeah.
So then I had to hire an attorney.
I remember all this.
You remember all this? Mm-hmm. And then I had to appeal it.
Yeah.
And then they denied me again. And then I had to hire another attorney to take it to the state to Sacramento. And then they gave me a restricted license. And then that's So there's a lot of endeavors. I mean, a lot of perseverance, I guess. After getting licensed,
just to get to 6 months of nothing.
Right. Yes.
Right.
And thinking about going back to my day job. Yeah.
So, so coaching really changed your life, and that leads us right to where we're at now, and why you've set up Infinity to be the way it is.
Correct. Yeah.
So tell me about what coaching means to you and to the other agents in this office and the potential agents who will come in the years to come.
Yeah, man. So, like for instance, I think that if anybody, like if you look at Tom Brady, for instance, right? Or if you look at Kobe Bryant, or if you look at Michael Jordan,
okay,
they're all the greatest at what they do.
Yeah.
But they still had a coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, why do they need a coach? They're the greatest of all time.
Right. Because
they need somebody to direct them, right? And to teach them and coach them, basically. So, if I kind of feel like, I kind of feel that the reason why we brought Infinity to life here as a local brokerage in Bakersfield is because we're in a broken industry, right? The failure rate is tremendous in real estate. The average shelf life of a real estate agent is 12 to 18 months. The average real estate agent in the United States right now sells 3.7 homes per year.
Yo.
Ouch, right?
Right.
And if the average commission is $5,000, well, that's a whopping, let's just round it off to 4, but that's a whopping $20,000 a year before Uncle Sam comes and takes his share. So I feel that we're in a broken industry, and that's exactly why we brought Infinity to life, is because I wanted to fix people. This is a place of growth, this is a place of change, and this is a place of breakthroughs where people walk in these doors not thinking or believing or having that limiting belief in themselves or their business, and I coach them personally, and then we see these magical things happen to them based off of the coaching that we provide our agents.
Yeah. And you getting to this point of you still have a coach.
Correct. Yeah, 17 years. I spent over $210,000 of my own money on coaching. Yeah.
Right. So some kind of key milestones in your career was in 2014. You set the goal to close 100 transactions, and you closed 96 transactions.
Correct.
In 2014.
Yeah.
But
as a single agent, though.
Yeah. But a key component to that success was you'd hired an assistant.
My assistant Meyer, who's been still the one of the best things that ever happened to me in my business is as an executive assistant. Yeah.
So 100 transactions, and this was all part of the plan once you got things going, right? So in 2015, you started your first real estate team. You had 5 agents.
Yep.
And in 9 months, you closed 141 transactions.
Correct. Yep.
That's a lot of houses. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, we have between 5 of us in 9 months, because we started, I believe it was in March of 2015. Yeah, we sold 141 houses, and
it's not till the next year. You brought on 5 more agents, and you had 10, and you closed how many transactions?
242.
And what was the result? That made you the
That made us the number one real estate team in Bakersfield, and it took us less than 2 years to make that happen. And it also put us at a per agent production of 24 sales per agent.
Wow.
Which is unheard of if the average agent in the United States sells 3.7.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And it's all in one market, right?
And it's all in one market.
Which is not the hugest market either.
Just little old Bakersfield, yeah.
Right. And so that kind of led you to, we kind of have this very grassroots kind of growth, right? It's step by step, grind by grind, year after year, getting to the point where now you have the brokerage, now you're the lead coach.
Yep.
You're also still selling homes.
Still selling houses, but focusing probably 80% of my time on my agents.
Now, what's the plan? What's the plan for the future? Like, what's the next couple years look like for Infinity?
Good question. Well, I mean, it's not about how many agents I have. It's about their production.
Okay.
And so right now our per agent production is about 16.8 per agent, which is probably the highest in Bakersfield if you put me up against any other brokerage in town.
Wow.
But our goal is to get it back up to 24
per agent.
Per agent. I mean, that we're only 8 units away.
Right.
Per agent, right? And so, that's really the goal.
Yeah.
Because if we can have a per agent production of 24 sales per individual agent in the office, that's pretty attractive.
Right.
Now
for somebody who's not in the real estate business, right? I don't know that 24 sounds like a lot to them, right? So tell me a little bit about the work it takes to sell 24 houses.
Okay,
in
good.
A year.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody gets into real estate because it's a sexy business, right?
Right.
Everybody gets in the business. They think, oh, these guys are lazy bums. All they do is like an open house or two.
Right.
They put a buyer in their car, then they go show them a couple houses, and they get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
And then they go cash a check, right? It's not like that. That's why the failure rate's so high, is because it's not a sexy business. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of long nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of rejection, a lot of failure, a lot of getting the door slammed in your face, a lot of bad stuff.
Right.
And you really just have to get through it in order to reap the rewards that can come from real estate.
So you kind of take a traditional or an old school approach of cold calling,
Yes.
cold knocking.
Yeah, and nowadays, Christian, I know that you do talk to real estate agents too, but there's so many shiny objects out there.
Yeah.
Most
agents don't do cold calls.
No, because they don't know what to say or they're fearful of
Rejection.
Yeah. So, they buy leads on Zillow or they say you don't have to work that hard, slow down or whatever the story is, but yet those are the agents that are going to fail. I mean, there's a true way to sell real estate, and it's predictable and duplicatable, and that's by the systems and the philosophy that we use at Infinity.
Right. Yeah, it's proven.
A lot of rejection, a lot of failure.
Right.
And it's okay.
Which is why you're doing this podcast, because the inner workings of what you're doing here at Infinity is very similar to the inner workings in almost any kind of industry or service or right?
Yeah.
Sales and really like the principles behind it, right? And so what you want to do moving forward is, just tell me a little bit about what your vision is for this podcast, what you want to do, who you want to interview, what kind of person you want to interview.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really excited about this because, this podcast is specifically designed for, business owners or entrepreneurs locally.
Yeah.
I'm not reaching out trying to find the owner of Target to teach us how he did it.
Right.
I'm not looking for Elon Musk. I'm not looking for that type of interview, right? I'm just looking to edify local business owners or entrepreneurs that are really making big moves.
Yeah.
And they all have a story. You know, just like the story that I shared with you. You know,
Yeah.
nobody that's successful at a very high level has a, you know,
Right.
a trust fund story.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And so I'm hoping that I can bring some value to other local business owners here in town.
Yeah.
Anybody that's looking at becoming a business owner. Anybody,
Inspire. Right.
Yeah, I want
Encourage.
to inspire people. I want to encourage people that are either wanting to get into the entrepreneurial world,
Right.
or whatever that is. But it's going to be a business business owner, entrepreneur type website. I'm not website. I apologize. First podcast ever, so give me a break. But yeah, you know, I got some. We already have some exciting names coming up.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I just want people to stay tuned because I think that you know, it's going to edify a lot of people that are in the small business world. You know.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing your story and for being so transparent and open and honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you know resonates with a lot of people who kind of have made mistakes early on. I've done the same thing, and you know the reality is that you know there are second chances, there's third chances, there's fourth chances.
Yeah.
And it's as long as you get back up, right?
And persevere. Yeah.
And persevere. That's the only way for sure you'll never lose, right? As long as you don't give up. That's it.
Yeah. Just gotta. As long as you get back up,
Yeah.
you will. You know.
Eventually win.
Correctamundo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, all the podcasts in the future that we're going to have on this show,
Yeah. That's what you're gonna hear.
you're going to hear that.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear somebody saying, "I started with $1 million." You know.
I got a small loan of $1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
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 But I appreciate you, man. I mean, like everybody knows out there, you're my best friend.
Yeah.
And it's a real privilege to have you open up this first podcast.
Yeah, man.
And I'm looking forward to it, man. So
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. So this is the Be Better podcast with Lee Barrison.
Yes, it is.
And there's going to be a lot more to come. So thank you for listening. And check us out at BeBetterAgents.com.
Thanks, guys.